Like, all of these things are so simple. And most people never think twice about them. It is such a privilege to get to do that. This is not going to be a fun video, but I think it's an important video to make. And I know that so many people in my audience will resonate with this in one way or another. And I haven't talked about it in a really long time, and that's because I haven't really been dealing with it for a really long time. And that is the idea of grieving my vision loss. And I know that for those of you who've been following me for a long time, you're like, Molly, you've been blind since you were 14 and you just turned 31. Like, it's been a while. And that's true, but I think the reality with grief is it's an ongoing journey. Grief is a lifelong process. And while the majority of the grief that I dealt with happened at 14 when I lost the majority of my vision, grieving that loss will continue forever. As life presents new challenges, new experiences, new opportunities, my vision loss will affect me and impact my life in different and new ways as well, which will present challenges which might bring up complicated and hard emotions. And the reality is, I think so many people will be able to resonate with this video because while I'm talking about the grief of losing my vision, grief is a feeling that so many of us have felt in our lives, whether it's the grief of losing a pet, a dream job, a loved one, or for many of my audience, losing the life that they knew due to chronic illness or acquiring a disability. And so, yeah, I for so many years in my life, like after the bulk of my grieving process was complete, I would say like, oh, I've 100% accepted my vision loss. And I believed that was true. But then I think somewhere in my kind of early mid-20s, I started to realize like, no, I haven't. I've 100% accepted it to the extent that I ever will. Like there's no more I will ever accept this than what I currently have. But that's like 98%. And there will always be that 2% that I grieve, that upsets me, that frustrates me, and that's okay. And that's a real part of the disability experience, which is why I want to talk about this, because for years I feel like I've been in such a good place about it and everything's been good. And then just for some reason this year, it's been really at the forefront again for me emotionally. Like it's just been very top of mind that this is my life and this is what my life is always going to be, and that this life is different than the life I could have had, that the life of most people. And that is frustrating, and it's okay that that's frustrating. And I think it's really important to let yourself feel those emotions when they do bubble to the surface and not try to like bury them down. It's so important to just say like, this is a part of my human experience and I need to feel it and I need to talk about it. And you guys know me. This is like a classic Molly Rambles video. I don't script out my videos. Like kudos to the creators who do. That's not me. Like I've always treated this as like FaceTiming a friend and just coming on here and it's like therapy. Like I just come and I let it flow as it will. So this video might be a little all over the place as Molly Rambles typically are, but you guys are just my internet people and I'm just coming to you wanting to share my experience and where I'm at currently. Knowing that this isn't always where I'm gonna be, but it is right now, and that's okay. So basically, I think it like kind of started around Christmas time. Oh my God, this is like the worst time of month to make that. My period's literally due tomorrow, and you guys know I have PMDD, so I get like very emotional around my period. I feel like my Prozac's been doing its thing this month, but we'll see. So yeah, I feel like around Christmas, it's always hard when I see my brother. I adore my brother and I want to be so, oh, did my necklace magnetize?
The magnet. let's clip it instead of magnetize it.
Okay. That's so funny.
Big magnet.
It's a little less aesthetic, but it'll help with the audio. Okay. So I feel like whenever I see my brother, it's like a reminder of the life I could have had. Because other than the fact that like he is a man and I am a woman, the only other difference between us is that he is sighted and I am blind. Like we were raised with the same family. We're only 2.5 years apart. We were raised in the same house with the same parents. Um, but he can see and I can't. And I think my whole life I compared myself to him because he was really popular and I was bullied, and he got to snowboard, but snowboarding for the blind wasn't available to me at the time, so I had to ski. And like, I think every little sibling wants to be like their cool older sibling, and I very much had that my whole life. And so I think whenever I see him and I see the life he has, I'm like, oh man, that could have been me. And I want it. You know, I'm like, oh, I wish like I could just go for a run whenever I want. I wish that I could just go to a new fitness class every day at a new place and like not have to question it, just to get that like freedom um, that I've never had and I'm never going to have. Um, and it usually happens when I see him and his wife, and they're like the freedom of they're such like free spirits, which inside I'm a free spirit, but freedom gets kind of clipped when you're disabled, you know, like a lot of freedom is taken away. There's a lot more planning and thinking through and prep work that goes into living as a disabled person and doing things. So I think that whenever I see them, I get that little like pang of like, I could have that life in another universe, parallel universe where I'm sighted. Like I'm running 10K every day and I'm going on all these adventures like them, but I'm not. And then they like they go back home, and like I'm not confronted with that every day, and it's all fine. And I'm like, that goes into the back of my mind, and I just am absorbed with my normal life again. But then the difference between this year is like a week later, the LA fires happened, and I was very confronted with, once again, the difference of my experience as a disabled woman and my community at large, like the difference of our experience, the greater vulnerability, the greater risk we are at, and the fact that society at large has not thought about it, that there hasn't been systems put in place to protect my community, which is why historically, every time a natural disaster happens, disabled people die at a proportionately higher rate to non-disabled people. And so that was kind of like, once again, like in my face, and it was like, oh, okay, just another, like one of those hurdles. And then the car broke down, which you guys know, we've been car shopping. And as fun as it has been to go car shopping and to think like, oh my God, I'm 31 and I'm gonna get to like buy myself a car as a blind woman. Like there's this version of that experience that is so empowering. And I wanna be so clear that I recognize that I'm so lucky and that many blind people will never get to do that. So I know that I'm lucky, but with that comes like so many other emotions. Here it is. I knew it would come.
That was quick.
The realization that I'm buying something that I'll never get to use. That I will never get to drive that car. Other than maybe in an empty parking lot, you know, like.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Elton, is it sad?
That was a little moo. A little moo cow.
Elton mooing. Yeah, I think I've always dreamed of buying a car. And like you guys saw the fun parts of that experience. But like both times I came home and I just felt like so empty and so drained. And like the second time, I literally like couldn't get off the couch the next day. I think that not being able to drive is like, for most of us, like that's our number one thing. Like we just wish we could drive. And I think there's a big difference in choosing not to drive and not being able to drive. I'm at the mercy of other people. And then like, you know, my boyfriend and I go to the gym a lot. We go to the gym like 4 or 5 days a week. And half the classes I can't go to. I can't use the lockers because in the change room, the lockers are like a visual touch, you have to like see the numbers to create your code. It's not like you bring your own lock that you lock on. And none of the machines have screen readers. None of the machines for the weights have Braille. None of the free weights have Braille. Like everything is inaccessible. And so I have to like have my partner help me with everything. Which again, like just takes away any autonomy or freedom Um, and again, like I'm so lucky to have a partner that I can go to the gym with and genuinely have fun working out together. Um, but that doesn't mean that I don't wish I could do it on my own. And this is like a fancy gym. Like this gym is extremely expensive. So the fact that I can't access like half of the things, and then I can't even do anything alone except like a few of the like vinyasa yoga classes because I grew up doing yoga like all through high school. I did yoga and in my early 20s. So I just know that yoga flow very well. And I have found like two or three teachers that I really like. They know me, and I feel like I can access their class okay. But like every time I want to try a new class, I get anxious because the classes have like 30 people. They're really big classes, at least 30 people, I feel like. They're not intimate. So it's not like the teacher can like do a lot of adjustments, hands-on adjustments, or like give me one-on-one attention, um, which is fine. That's again just like a part of my experience is like I can't see what the teacher's doing. So sometimes if I'm not super familiar with that style of workout, even though I want to do it, I can't because I just don't know what's going on and I can't keep up. And it's hard because I've been an athlete my whole life. Um, and just like accessing activity is so hard in the ways that I want to be able to move my body. Like, I just don't have that freedom. And it's frustrating. And like, literally the day that I could hardly get off the couch after the last time we went car shopping because I was just like so empty. I drug myself off the couch that night. I was like, okay, I'll just go to the gym and I'll like walk on the treadmill. Like, I'll just walk. My boyfriend like brings me to the treadmill, starts it for me. And then I like grabbed my phone to put like a podcast on or something. And I dropped it and it fell onto the treadmill and the treadmill was moving. So then it flew out like to the back. So I like pulled the emergency stop because that's the only way I can stop it on my own. And then I like got off on my hands and knees, found my phone, called him, was like, can you come back and start it again? And I just like, he did and he left and I just like cried walking on the treadmill because I was just like, this is so annoying. Just so helpless, just trying to do something as simple as walk on a treadmill. And it's just all of these little things that are my current reality that are reminding me that I can't see, that I'm always gonna have to rely on other people no matter how independent I make myself and my environment. There'll always be things that I need to rely on other people to do for me, to help me with, that I will never have the life that other people get. And like even with content, like sometimes I just want to make beauty content, but like people don't seem to want to consume my content if it's not about me being blind. And it's like I still make beauty content, but it sucks that nobody wants to watch it. I still make fashion content, but it sucks that nobody really wants to watch it because it makes me feel like people don't see me as a normal person. I just want to get to live the life that I know I could have had, but I won't. I'm never going to. And I know that I won't feel like this forever, but this is just how it's been lately. Like I said, like my reality has changed. And so all of these new experiences that I'm faced with for the first time, like I've never gone to a gym. I used to go to a yoga studio where, like say I did Pilates, and I had like a specific teacher and I would always take Shannon's classes because Shannon was like super eyes on me, like always coming over to help. And like my classes, like when I would do Pilates with her, for example, our class was like 6 to 8 people. So like she could really give me attention without pulling focus from the rest of the class in a way that like I can't get at my current place. And I've never gone to just like a typical gym. Back when I was in BC, I had a personal trainer and I worked out 3 days a week with my personal trainer. But if I wasn't working out with her, I didn't go to the gym. The gym that I went to was a personal training only gym. So you couldn't just go to work out. You could only go if you had a session with a trainer. And so I've never gone to a gym before. So this is like my first time having like a classic gym experience. I've never thought about buying a car before. So it's my first time being presented with this. I've never been in a natural disaster before. So it's my first time being presented with that. So it's like all of these new experiences, and all of them are just happening to coincide. And I know that I'm so lucky. And like in general, I love my life. And I'm really grateful. And I think for a long time, like growing up, I thought, if I just work hard enough and I get successful enough, my blindness won't matter anymore. And the older I've gotten, I've realized how naive that is. And like, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much success you have, how many people love you, how funny you are, how talented you are, like none of that matters if the world isn't accessible. I think the difference this time, like when I was younger and I would grieve my vision loss, I centered myself as the problem. Like if I could just see, life would be easier. And well, yes, like that's at the core of it. That's still always going to be true. Now, for the most part, I am so frustrated by society. I'm frustrated that the gym is not accessible. I'm frustrated that the government hasn't put safety guards in place for disabled people in natural disasters. I'm frustrated that autonomous cars aren't everywhere now, that I can't buy an autonomous car, that I have to buy a car that somebody else will drive me in. As much as I love having a guide dog, and I always tell him he's like the best part about being blind is that I get a dog. And that's part of why I always say like I will always be a guide dog user, because he brings me so much joy and so much comfort and security. And it's just like the brightest spot in my life. But that doesn't mean I don't wish that I could just go on a walk on my own, like put my headphones in and just go for a nice walk. Like, it's so simple. Like all the TikToks, like, oh, let's all go on a hot girl walk. Like, put your headphones in, put on a good playlist, and go for a nice walk. It's just so simple. Like, all of these things are so simple. And most people never think twice about them. It is such a privilege to get to do that. And you never know when that privilege will be taken from you. I mean, there's really no, like, moral to this video, other than to say, like, if you're somebody who looks at me, you have a disability, you're on a vision loss journey, and you look at me and you're like, oh, like, she's got it all together. Like, one day I want to be as, like, confident and happy as Molly is. Unfortunately, like, the grief will always be somewhat there in some moments, and that's just the reality, and it's okay. And I don't have it all together, and I don't think anybody does. Like, we're all just humans trying to figure out how to human and trying to navigate this crazy world. Yeah, I think another thing that's obviously been, like, very confronting is the villainization of DEI. Every day you open TikTok and scroll on Instagram and it's just updates on how disabled people caused the plane crash and like all of these like ridiculous things. And when my whole life's mission is dedicated to DEIA, to then see like all of these companies like pulling their spend and the government like literally saying you don't matter. And I know so many minorities feel that way right now. Not just disabled people. But yeah, that's just another thing that's like, doesn't make you feel good when your rights are being threatened and people are literally saying like they don't care about your rights and that you don't matter, and companies like literally just pulling their spend. Like, oh, we only did this because it made us look good. But now that we're being told nobody cares anyways, then we're just gonna pull it. Doesn't matter. We never meant it. Ugh, like, such an awful feeling. So yeah, I think there's just like overall in the world, there's a lot going on right now for all of us in different ways. I don't talk about politics, you know, it's not my thing. Frankly, I don't think anybody should speak on things they're not educated about, and politics is just not my thing. I'm not American. I didn't grow up with this system. I can't vote in this country. I don't want to speak on something that I'm really not equipped to speak about. I think with everything going on right now with DEI, a lot of people have been asking me to like make a statement, talk about my opinion or how I feel. And it's like, I'm just trying to get through it, you know? Like, of course I feel devastated. And it's been so nice, like whenever I see my disabled friends, which I've been seeing them a lot lately, like every time I see them, just feeling like I'm not the only one has been really comforting. Clearly, I have not been in a place to talk about it. Like, I have been really emotional this year and just trying to navigate all of my own stuff and feeling so powerless and hopeless and just trying to survive it. So it's not like I don't talk about it because I don't care. This really was just like a video to update you guys on how I'm feeling and just to let you know, like, if you're going through things like this, you're not alone. If you feel these ways, that's totally valid. If grief creeps up on you in unexpected ways at unexpected times, like, that's okay. It's normal. And you just have to let yourself feel it. You just have to let yourself go through it. Don't try to ignore it or bury it or rise above it. Feel it, get it out. And I know that like once I've felt all of this and I've processed it, I'll come back stronger. And I'll come back with more drive and more fight. And honestly, like, it's all the injustice that I and my community face that keeps me motivated, that keeps me passionate, that keeps me driven to do the work that I do. So I need to feel these feelings to keep that fire in my belly, to keep speaking out, keep raising awareness. I don't know what like the next year holds. It's still early days and very up in the air, but I'm hoping that this whole DEI stuff settles, the dust will settle, and companies will realize it's a mistake to pull back and will lean in more than ever. And I will be there to hold their hand when they're ready for that. So we'll see. Thank you guys for watching this video. Sorry I was such a mess. I will see you next time. And until then, you can watch this video about the real reason I bought a Cartier Love bracelet. Yeah. Or this most recent car shopping video. You can see how I was right before I totally plummeted into sadness. Okay, love you. Bye.